Hello and welcome to Differential Discussions. I'm Melissa,
And I'm Dave.
and today we're back with another Do That Diff. And we have Stephanie back with us. Stephanie, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
Stephanie's our returning champion, I'll add.
We should actually figure out how to make this into a competition, Dave.
Oh, geez, I don't want to do that. I like the good naturedness of it, and
The students would love it.
I think so. I think that there's like times and places for those things.
Yeah.
But healthcare is a collaborative process.
Well, we'll have to consider a Do That Diff spinoff then.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right,
I don't want to go against Stephanie though. I don't
Oh.
Well, I don't know if it's a good thing. Sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's not. But I can not participate.
No.
I'm always the one steering, so.
Fair enough.
All right.
All
You
right.
guys ready to see the CBC?
Please and thank you. All right. Another low white count.
Yep. Low platelet count again.
Low platelet and H&H.
Yeah. Anemia.
So we have pancytopenia, but again, it's like kind of like a middling. It's not like crazy.
Yeah, MCV is pretty normal.
Yeah.
I would say MCHC, so normocytic normochromic cells, RBCs we should see.
Yep. Yeah, the RBC histogram looks really nice, actually. Or the RDW is a little bit high. Okay. But it looks nice and Gaussian. Diff scattergram. Looks like there's like a lymphoid population.
Yep.
Some monos.
Lymphocytes are a little elevated or more than elevated.
Yeah. Yep.
Great.
So, and then I think we have what looks like a neutropenia, just in general. So 2.2, 20%. So neutrophils are really, really low. Okay. Time for the slide, maybe?
Yeah. So, 7-day old too.
Oh,
Okay.
good point. I always miss the demographics.
That's good. Okay,
Yeah.
7-day old. Okay,
So that's
7-day
actually
old.
really worrying now, right? Like,
Right. Now I'm thinking, well, okay, with a low white count, low platelet.
But
so
does it make your neutropenia worrying?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
certainly. Yeah. Very vulnerable demographic and then really low. I mean, 20%, it's like a 400 or a 500 absolute or less, right? That's really low.
Yeah.
So I worry.
Now I'm worried. Yeah, I'm wanting to see the diff.
Yeah, and then in the 92 MCV, 7-day old, maybe that's about right. But yeah, I think bone marrow failure comes to mind. I'm not high on leukemias and stuff at this age, although it's not like impossible.
Well, true. Maybe a viral infection. I don't know if that will cause your white count and platelet to be low.
That's what I was kind of worried about. Yeah, like a aplastic reactive. But we'll have to see, I guess.
Yeah.
So is it slide time?
Yeah.
So there looks like some pockets of I don't know if there's agglutination or if it's just area, but let's move a little thinner here. And maybe we can look at the feather a little bit too, I guess. I don't see anything standing out at the
I don't
moment.
either, usually, I mean, babies are prone to platelet, have platelet clumps due to the collection of the sample, but usually you kind of do see those more towards the feathered edge. I don't really see any platelet clumps.
So I'm glad that you brought that up. So we could account for a 77 platelet with like maybe platelet clumps, right? That could explain why the analyzer had a low count, but we're not really seeing that.
No.
Yeah, maybe we can go into the body and then go up in magnification.
Okay.
So does I'm paying attention to like the central pallor of the cells.
Me too, and
Might be
that is not weird to me, but the MCV or excuse me, MCHC I thought was normal.
normal. Yep.
And
So it could be artifacts, right?
yeah.
It's possible.
Are those target cells too?
Looks like a 1 or 2.
It just looks like the refractory rings.
Yeah, okay. All right. So that might be, so it looks like that might be artifact.
We'll see it better when we go down.
So we'll try to trust the MCHC and that it's normal. But
It's a little bit thicker.
Is that a
okay.
band?
Yeah, looks like it. So that, try to be very, very sensitive for something like that. I actually had a professional experience where we had an infection in a neonate and it turned really fast. And we lost that patient.
So sepsis.
And it was like, honestly, Stephanie, it was like diff was normal Friday evening, and then Saturday, like early afternoon, it went sideways and it just spiraled from there.
Yeah.
So
Now, if the neutrophil count would have been higher, the band would have been a little bit more concerning to me. But the fact that it was 63% lymphs,
mhm, mhm,
I
yeah,
don't, I don't think it is bacterial related,
mhm.
even with the presence of the band.
It's a fair point.
You want me to move
Um,
around or you want me to go
yeah.
down?
Both? I wouldn't mind looking at that neutrophil of just a little bit, if you don't mind. And then maybe we can start kind of cruising around a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the echinocytes are now in my face.
That too. Those can also be artifact.
Yep. Yeah. So small vacuoles inside the neutrophil. The staining, the way it's staining is a little dark and a little odd for what I might expect, but I'm going to be open-minded and agnostic at the moment. But okay, so maybe we can start really cruising now. Thank you, Melissa. She's such a saint. Looking at these two white count. Okay, so another neutrophil,
Yeah.
similar staining.
Right.
Echinocytes still present.
Yeah.
And then there was a cell that was just off. Yeah, it's just a smudge maybe,
Yep.
or a fragment, whatever.
A skip a site? No.
Yeah. That's tough to square sometimes with the students, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Don't look at that one. Just keep going.
Right.
Yo.
You pretty ill. All right.
Okay, so that looks like a Dole body. So a reactive lymph monocyte, but like the staining in the cytoplasm is a little
Yeah,
bugging me.
it is.
But that lymph is angry.
Right.
That vasophilia for me is like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I'm kind of struggling with, okay? And the possibility of looking like a fool. So there's what look like kind of Dole body type staining there. But it kind of looks like a monocyte. But if they're Dole bodies, it would be neutrophilic.
Right. But the cytoplasm is definitely not giving me
I
neutrophil.
know, I know. So I got these things kind of fighting each other a little bit for me. I'll just note it and keep moving, I guess.
Yeah. I need to see more cells. This is a tough one.
Monocyte, I suppose.
Um, I don't know.
PDs are annoying too, not gonna lie.
I'm looking at the chromatin pattern and I don't think that's a nucleoli at the top,
Mm,
but
I see what you see.
Yeah, I see what you see, but no.
okay. But
It's tough
the
too.
cytoplasm is throwing me off.
This one, um, you know, this
See, I keep on going back to the lymphs because that was what was the highest. So even if this is a monocyte, I mean, what is the issue with the lymphs being so high?
So yeah, the other thing that's complicating too is like the population of lymphs and monos. You could get a little bit of gating, right? So maybe that lymph is falsely elevated a little bit, or we just have a low N still,
Mhm.
right? I mean, we haven't seen a ton of cells yet. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Hard to see a lot of detail in the nucleus there.
Mhm.
Um,
But size-wise, it looks to be mature.
yes, I agree. ALL sometimes though can just have like not like most myeloblasts that I've seen in my career are like very blasty, air quotes.
Mhm. Right.
Lymphoblasts can they can look a little wonky and maybe
Yeah,
but I think just lymph on this one. There's no reason to like jump off. But those burst cells are still there.
they
They seem
are.
to be persisting.
So when you think about birth cells, it can be pyruvate kinase deficiency, it can be
Yes.
kidney failure, uremia.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So digging into my microbiology, this population, young people susceptible to HUS, the E. coli 0157H7, which causes uremia, right? Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah, I'm never going against Stephanie ever if we turn this into a competition.
Oh.
Going on the record. She's dangerous. I'm still fairly agnostic as to what's going on though.
Yeah, I kind of stumped to be honest with you.
So it looks like it's folded,
It does.
but it looks reactive, right?
Yeah.
Um,
It's an angry mono.
yeah, so like these look like what would we had a path who would say reactive histiocytes, right? Like it
Just
could
like
be
that too.
Yeah. I just had her like kind of echo it in the back of my head. I'm very puzzled. I do see some, I think we're seeing reactive stuff though, right? Like
Right.
I don't think I'm terribly worried about leukemias. I think there might be some kind of an infection. And there is almost no cytoplasm in that cell.
Right.
Troubling.
Size-wise, still looks mature.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Don't
thinking
like,
7-day old.
really don't like this lack of cytoplasm.
Yeah.
You know what would be incredibly helpful? If I had an IPF or a retic, I would feel more comfortable with, like, we don't have to look in the bone marrow. It's probably reactive, right? So if I had a high immature platelet fraction or a high retic, to suggest that the marrow microenvironment is doing okay, I could just kind of go to infection and dust my hands off and be done. But
Well, your retic is 0.7.
no kidding. Okay.
All right, so normal.
That doesn't help me. And it might be a bit low, Stephanie, considering the anemia too, right? Like if we adjusted that.
Oh, true. Sorry, it is decreased. Yes.
So it
Yeah.
might be a tad low from what I would want this child to be doing at an 8-gram hemoglobin. I think it was 8.8.
It was a
Yeah.
pancytopenia, high lymph count.
Do you think that the suppression of erythropoiesis in the bone marrow, though, could be caused by uremia if the child has uremia? Because uremia does suppress erythropoiesis.
That is accurate. So so we could have like some kind of a congenital kidney issue in this patient that then secondarily causes that. But see, would the kidney disease, the uremia, explain the low white count though? See, that's the
I don't think it would explain the low platelet either.
right.
No, it's true.
So I don't know. I think that we saw some cells that look like they're reactive, and so that makes me think infection. And we have pancytopenia, which kind of pulls me towards like an aplastic anemia, some kind of bone marrow failure. But even the bone marrow, well, I guess infection can cause our echinocytes, our burr cells too, right? Like, yikes. So that looks like a reactive-ish lymph, right? It's not full-blown.
No, but the color of the cytoplasm is giving me reactive.
Yep. Way too basophilic.
Yeah.
And the nucleus is clumpy for a baby lymph.
Yeah, agreed. That would be the other thing that can complicate pediatric stuff, is that the lymphs tend to look a little less mature generally. So
So this would definitely be going to pathology review.
yeah, yeah,
No doubt about that.
yeah. Especially given the 7-day-old pancytopenia, this should get great care and attention. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like in the. I think I'm hung up on aplastic reactive. And so I think the treatment regimen would generally be some kind of a steroid or immunosuppressive therapy and look for the bone marrow to kind of rebound. But yeah.
There are congenital disorders that do
True. Yep.
like
So we have
certain anemias that will
so
right.
Fanconi's comes to mind. So there are
Right.
some of these congenital bone marrow failure pictures.
What's that other one? Diamond Blackfin?
Diamond Blackfan, I believe that's pure red cell.
Okay.
So it wouldn't explain the platelet, although there could be concomitant kind of, factors here. But DBA is probably, here's the other thing too. Some of those disorders, a lot of those inherited disorders have morphological abnormalities too. So like a physical examination description would be helpful as well. But yeah. Mhm. Head scratcher. So a lot of these lymphs look really basophilic.
Yeah. So it's definitely a reactive process going on here.
Yeah. I think it's hard to like look away from the reactive picture now and the aplasia and just kind of circumstantially say that that's the most likely cause. But
Yeah, I would have to agree. I'm going to rule out leukemia.
yeah, I think it's safe to step away from Luke's.
Yeah.
So Melissa, sometimes we don't have a lot of data here, but do you have something for us here or not
I
much,
have
huh?
nothing. I
Okay.
had the printout. That was it.
This has to be an aplasia.
Well, I don't know because I was thinking along the lines where you were saying it could be an infection with like pus and then having renal failure.
Yep. So
Mm.
it's still possible, right?
So
Yeah.
the renal failure giving you the uremia, the husk giving you the thrombocytopenia. I don't know about the white cell count, but
Mhm.
it could be, so it could be something like that,
Mhm.
or it could be something. I mean, the other thing is it could, well, I don't know. I was thinking it can't be TEC because that's just red cell too.
Right. Right. Yep.
Transient erythroblastopenia of childhood, and that'd be parvo. That'd be a virus,
Right.
which would go
Mhm.
with the reactive lymphs that we're seeing. So I don't know. I guess it could be like an aplastic process with a reactive picture, or it could be some kind of infective
I
process.
think you're right though. The Burr cells are like tough, right? Because that's not usually a clinical picture for our aplastic anemias.
No.
And a 0.7% retic, it's not like crazy low, right?
Well, isn't
I
normal
don't-
0.5 to 2.5?
That's yeah, right,
Is
right.
that for adults? Is that for children too?
I think that's for adults. I don't know children off the top of my head.
But then if we did the jumping through hoops to correct the retic for the anemia, because we would expect so the signal to the bone marrow should be profound at this point, right? For erythropoiesis. So at an 8-gram hemoglobin for a 7-day-old, did they say it was a female or a male?
Didn't say.
Okay.
So are there any viruses like CMV or yeah, CMV?
I certainly wouldn't rule out viruses do weird stuff. um, so I think there's a lot of I think that this patient was probably screened for a lot of different infections.
Mm-hmm.
And that wouldn't be a crazy one.
Yeah.
I wish we had the physical presentation. So this one's a little less maybe rewarding, but a very interesting case, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, and I think it's good because I think students always think you have to have like the end. You have to know like this is the diagnosis. And sometimes you can just go up based off of the features, and that's all we
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And how much of medicine too is like patient presents, they're not well, we support them, and then it resolves. And then we never really even knew what the causative agent was, right? I mean, the body does the healing, we provide support. That's how I like to look at medicine generally.
Yeah.
But anywho, it was fun. Oh shoot.
Here, I thought I picked an easy one.
Yeah, well, so I think the most challenging part of it was like some of the neutrophils in our quote unquote monocytes. A little bit weird,
Mm-hmm.
little weird. That was challenging.
Yeah.
Um, but everything else was just kind of like there's a lot of like non-specific sort of
Right. Right.
features.
Yeah.
You know,
But I think that's good too,
yeah.
having the non-specifics, because that's how a bunch of things are going to present with non-specific
Mhm.
morphologies.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll definitely need some follow-up tests for this one.
agreed. Check those boxes.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, did the baby go home and come back, or was the 7-day-old there for 7 days at the hospital? Like where,
Yeah.
like what was the clinical presentation? Like when did it start?
Yeah, because a hospital acquired, you know, I mean, that happens, right? Hospital acquired infections. Yeah, because like, were hints of these abnormalities at birth, or yeah, you're asking some good questions. You know.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't have that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Womp womp womp. Still worth the struggle and working through it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Stephanie, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. It's been great.
And everybody else, thanks for watching.
Thank you for your time.